you have to pick certain things that, okay, this is more important than that. Let's invest more money on making this look great. If we're going to spend a whole minute on this and 5 seconds on that, that's not so important. So it's also just about talking and coming to an understanding of what is important and what's not.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Department Spotlight, the show where we speak to our friends and colleagues about their experiences in the South African film industry. Today we will be talking about production design, and we will also be talking to two of our friends and colleagues who are in different countries. So it will not just be the South African industry, it will also be the British industry and the Congolese industry. So yeah, we are really excited to get going. So let's get to it.
Hi, I'm Raquel Delgado, a production designer currently in South Africa.
I'm Olivier Mutombe Amiso, production designer currently in Congo.
Hi, I'm Lauren Boy. I'm currently a production designer in London, UK.
Awesome. Cool, guys. Well, welcome to this special international edition of Department Spotlight focusing on production design. Mark, do you want to kick us off with questions?
Yeah, I suppose a good one to start with is when you're given a script and you're given the go-ahead, how do you guys approach a script? How do you break everything down?
When I'm given a script, I actually want to I read to find out what's the genre of the film or of the script, what it's all about, and then I start going into it, analyzing it, and finding out what it means and stuff. I think it comes with the genre. For me, it's the genre of the script.
Well, when I first get a script, I usually just read it a couple of times, see what the vibe is, try and come up with ideas. I like to sketch scripts out as I get them. So I often have a script in front of me and it'll just be covered in drawings. So if the scriptwriter ever saw what I did to their script, they'd probably be like, oh my God, what have you done? But it's just covered in different sketches. And I usually find that helps kind of me visualize what's actually going on. So just turning the words into visual representations.
Well, when I first get a script, I read it through and I just get lots of ideas just flowing into my head immediately, and I kind of jot them down. I also like to research and already start getting some pictures, and then I'll obviously discuss with the director and see if we're obviously on the same wavelength, and also understanding what genre are we in, but I can usually sometimes pick that up from the script itself. But otherwise, I just like to read it and already just jot down ideas and start researching, because I just get flooded with ideas.
Do you guys, when you start getting these ideas, do you like Lauren was saying she sketches things out, do you let those ideas just simmer for a bit before you present to the director, or do you just immediately what do you think about this? What do you think about that? How does that work? How's the relationship with the director?
Well, for me, I usually like to let it just simmer, just so I can hear other people's ideas first, especially from the director, because this is their story at the end of the day. So, yeah, I just like to hear from them, and I like to work closely with my director, just because at the end of the day, we have to complement each other and highlight each other's important sections of the script.
So usually I like to let things sit for a bit as well, because usually my very first idea is not the best. And then as I think about it more, then I'm just oh wait, no, that wouldn't work. Maybe I should think about it this way. And I try to think of it on a very creative level, but also a practical level, and think, okay, this is the budget I've been given. This is the kind of idea that I want to go with, but what can I actually achieve before taking it to the director? And not so long ago, I was on a project that brought on the rest of the crew before they actually had a director, which was very different. And they come on, it was very strange. But so I was in communication with the scriptwriter and the producer most of the time, and they were just oh, this is kind of what we want to do. And then when the director came on, they were just yeah, that's cool, I like that. But at that point the design had kind of already been really developed, And I think there is a process of development that you have to go through alone before you start presenting it to anybody. And then, because you know what's going to work and what doesn't work, and you don't want to like say, oh, we should do this, and then you know it's not going to work, but then the director's just like, oh my god, that would be amazing, and then you're actually just like, wait, I've given you this, but we can't actually do it. So I think there is a lot of thought to happen first before you can just be like, oh my god, let's just do all the amazing things with all the money. So yeah.
Like Raquel and Lauren said, like it's very important, definitely important to let it simmer, and like you have to, and like Lauren and Raquel also both say, like you have to have an idea that you already have, like taking it to the directory that you are sure of. It's just not throwing ideas that you're not sure that's gonna work. So yeah, that's definitely right.
Has this ever happened to you guys? What happens when the director comes to you, or the scriptwriter or whatever, and he's got this like idea, or it's written into the script and it's just this big thing? How do you guys talk around budget? Do you try to make it work to the budget, or do you rather say no, that's not going to work, let's do something else? What is your relationship with budgets?
It's very important that you talk about it in the beginning. Sometimes if it's going to work or not. You really have to speak to the director and let him know that this is gonna happen or this not, because sometimes they come with such big ideas, and then you have to be very realistic with them and explain to them that it's not gonna work. And then also something like if the budget can change, or you explain to them like we have like a budget list that we make, and maybe work the budget or making the budget a bit bigger or something like that.
I see. So like not letting it get too far in the process before.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You definitely have to speak up before you get to the point, and it's so big. It's so big for you that you cannot even handle it. So it's best to talk to the director from the beginning and make him realize that this can happen, this cannot happen. So you have to be upfront about it, because it has happened to me in like some films that I've worked on in varsity. That big ideas, and I kept saying that it's possible, that they kept pressing for that to happen, and then it didn't quite work out. So I had to learn from it.
And you guys, what do you, Lauren and Raquel, have you guys ever like fought for more money, or is it just like, oh, okay, I guess this is my budget, whatever?
I've definitely fought for more money before. Often, especially when I think about Back to After. Especially when someone comes to you and they're just like, I want a massive circus room, and you're just like, okay, sure, I can do that. Or can we make it rain inside? I'm just like, sure, let's do that. Or build a massive cage that gets taken out last minute, So I think there are things where you just like, we could be spending the money in different ways. But I think it's important to kind of like decide which parts of budget go where at the beginning. Because if you start spending it on things that the rest of the crew aren't sure about, or your director's just like, it would be nice to have, but you spent your money on it, and then later on it gets cut out or it's not used. So it's very important to prioritize where the budget goes and what gets used the most. And I think that's when script breakdowns become so important, because then you have to like realize what is the most important part of the script, what visuals do I need to make sure stay in, and if we lose this, what would happen? So it's not really about cutting corners with the budget, but more like, finding out the most cost-effective way to make it work. And sometimes it's not that easy, and especially because you have to like realize that they're paying so many other people and they've got money going into so many other different things. But yeah, it's not the easiest part of it, but it's definitely something you have to consider the whole time. Yeah, it's nice when you get past the budget though, and it's just like, okay, I've got everything I need. Let's have fun now.
Yeah, well, I definitely agree with both Lauren and Oliver. At the end of the day, sometimes I think it depends on the director that you're working with. It can be quite a challenge to get them to understand that you're only giving me so much of your budget, but you want this extravagant thing. And also, like Lauren pointed out, that you have to pick certain things that, okay, this is more important than that. Let's invest more money on making this look great. If we're going to spend a whole minute on this and 5 seconds on that, that's not so important. So it's also just about talking and coming to an understanding of what is important and what's not. And I also think that I'm someone, and Yaku, you know this, I like to be as cheap as possible. Like really like to not spend a lot of my budget given, which I think is also important, especially when considering low budget films.
Yeah, and I mean, from my perspective, or whoever's providing the money, that's always great when you're like, okay, this is the amount, don't go over it, and then like Raquel went like way under it, which was awesome. But yeah, sorry, continue.
So I think it's important to also just try as a designer work around your budget, but it has to be a leeway and a discussion between both director, even producer, and production designer. You all need to work as a team and come together to make a conclusion as to how much money are we willing to spend and where that money is going to go.
True.
And another sort of question that sort of leaps on from that is, what do you guys think from a production designer's point of view? What do you think are some things that screenwriters or directors could assist in this whole creation of everything? So what would you like to say to directors and screenwriters before it comes to the point where they're giving you a script? Like, because I feel like when you spoke about I think Lauren spoke about the problem of sort of being presented like, oh, can we do like the interior of a circus or whatever tent? And I think that some of those considerations can perhaps come a bit sooner. So what would you guys like to say to sort of a screenwriter or director in terms of like practicality and considering production design?
When I worked on my honors film, one of my friends was a director, so I got to join her on the process. I was there in the process of her writing, which helped me a lot, because she would bounce ideas at me of like having certain elements in the script and stuff, and then I could throw it back and I say, yeah, that would work, and like so it really helped. It really helped that I was there earlier on, but I don't know if it happens in the industry. But that's something new that I've never experienced in all the years that I've been at AFTA. So it was really good to actually have inputs in the beginning of the process of writing for me.
Yeah, I think definitely at AFTA, you had the opportunity to kind of chat to the director as they were writing the script and be like, oh, this is what I think about this. This is what we could potentially do. And they'd be like, oh, I want to set it in this location. You'd be like, I don't really know about that. I don't think we can find that location that easily. Especially because we know the struggle with location. It's not always the easiest thing. In the industry, they have location managers, and there's like, that sounds like the bestest thing ever. But yeah, I think I don't really think in the industry, like maybe if you're working on an indie, you probably get involved with the director quite early on, and you can be like, oh yeah, okay, this is what I think we could do. But like if you're getting in quite late, and like everybody else has already been hired, and they've got their DOP, they've got like everybody else, and you're coming in and they say, okay, this is our script, this is what we want from you. Then you kind of just have to make it work, and then you can always go to them and be like, I don't know what you think you want in this specific section, but I don't think it's possible. But I think there are ways around it. Like if something's too big, then you can talk about making a miniature set, or, you can always say, have you considered visual effects if you've got a good visual effects budget? Or, I don't think we'll be able to find this location. Can we build a set for it? And, it's all about the compromise of like, even if you hate like set building, then you can be like, we need to build a set for this. It's not going to work on location. So it's just about finding the compromises and finding the right section that works for you both, I suppose. Especially that, like, if the script is that well developed and they're just like, well, we're not rewriting it now, so you got to deal with what you got, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what Lauren has just said. But I think now more from like a director or script writer's role, I think when they're writing the script, yes, it's lovely to have all these brilliant ideas and want to go all extravagant, but I think it's also important to consider, if this doesn't work out, how can we solve this problem? Because just as a production designer, how you get given these ideas and now you have to sit and try solve the problem of how we're going to create this, and okay, what if that location is no longer an option? What are we going to do? Like, you're constantly having to think of solutions. So I think as a script writer, you must think, okay, if we can't find this location, can we build it? Do we have enough in our budget to build it? Or can we rather do special effects? So I think it's also just in that you have to consider the whole aspect of the film, not just the script itself.
Lauren's coming from England, Oliver's coming from the Congo, Raquel's in SA. What do you guys think is sort of the difference between each place? If maybe you could talk about your experiences in Congo versus working in SA, England versus SA. What are the different industries like?
The difference between Congo and Congo has a structure. We don't have a structure or a film industry here. They're only starting to get it now. It's like the beginning of it now. Like, it's in South Africa, we know what's going on. We know the rules. I thought when I was in first year, they told me that the film industry is like the army. Like, everybody has I feel like here everybody just mixes stuff. Like, there's no discipline when it comes to just filming. Like, you just have an idea and people will be like, they'll shoot. But I have not worked on any film stage yet here, except from this music video that I'm going to be working on. We are not supported. We're not as supported here as South Africa. The South African film industry is supported. We don't have much support here. I think people are only starting to realize it now, and we slowly try getting that change. But it's also from Congolese like me that had had opportunities to study in South Africa to bring those skills back home here and teach people. Because not everybody has the opportunity to even travel or have the money to go and study in South Africa. So a lot of people that are coming back and are using those skills, even by just doing short films, and it's just bringing together and bringing ideas. And I think it's the youth. It's always the youth that are going to push the country and bring different things, because we believe in being doctors. And so the arts, so the youth here, the people in the arts department, we're trying to bring a change. So it's very new here. It's very, very new.
It's quite funny because I feel like I'm the complete opposite, because I've come into an industry that's so old, and it's so well established, and it was very different, kind of jumping into the art department here, because I don't know if I was the only person who felt this, but especially art department at AFTA felt like it was a bit of a war, because everybody was like, we don't need PD, it's not important, and you kind of trying to fight with that the whole time. And everybody's like, oh, we just care about we have a good cinematographer, we'll be fine. And all you do is put a couch up against the wall, and that's enough. And then I got here and I was talking to a DOP the one day, and I mentioned what it was like back home, and they were just like, sorry? And it was just, there's a whole different type of respect for art department in this country that I was like, oh, what is this? This is like heaven. I can't get over that. I definitely think it's harder to get into the industry here just because of how many people are already in the industry, and it's so well saturated. But there's constantly things happening at the same time, so there's always something else you can jump onto or something you can get involved with. But also the teams are a lot bigger here. So I went on to one set as production designer, and then they were just like, oh, here's your supervising art director. I'm just like, oh, what does a supervising art director do? And they were just like, oh, I just look after the budget. And I'm just like, oh, that's the worst job. I'm so sorry. And then they've got all the teams underneath them. And then I had done so much work, and then the art director came in, and they were just like, oh wait, that's part of my job though. You're just supposed to tell me if it's right or not. And I'm just like, what do you want me to do? But it's been quite interesting because I've worked as a production designer, I've worked in the props department, I've worked in set decoration. So I've kind of jumped between the different departments within the art department. But the only thing I haven't done was construction. But I feel like I did enough of that at AFTA. I'm done putting up flats. Thank you very much. So Yeah, I think it's quite different here. Especially, I think it's more flexible in South Africa. Like you can get away with more. You can be like, oh, let's just cheat this. It's fine. But here, everything's more, everything's down to the cent, and every single second's accounted for. So it's a lot more running around making sure everything's perfect. But yeah, and also when you go on like a big set and there's like so many people, I'm just like, oh, what is this? This is crazy. But yeah, so it's quite different. I think I'm learning a lot more than I thought I would.
Following up on that, we don't want to make it just the Lauren show, but tell us a bit about your about your internship that you had. What was it for? Outlander, right?
Yeah. It kind of like fizzled and burned really quickly, just like went, no. It was so weird. I was learning so much from it, and it was the stupidest little things. Like the one day we went on like this chair excursion where we were just looking at old chairs the whole day, and I was like, sure,
cool.
This is fun. And and they were talking about the design and all different types of things. And then we had like one day we were just learning like scenic painting, and I was like, oh, I've done plenty of scenic painting, it's fine. And then I got there and like they were just doing textures I had never seen before, and I was like, oh my god. And here I was talking yesterday about how much I knew, and now I'm just like, maybe not. And then they were just like, here, acrylic paint, make this look like leather. And I'm just like, okay, sure. And then and it turns out you just like mix it with fabric softener, and you just put shoe polish over it once it's dry, and it looks like leather. And I was like, oh, it actually works. It's mad. But I think what was really great was learning so much from the people that had been working on those sets. And I think even though I didn't get the job in the end, I did learn a lot from the process and the experience, which was really nice. So, yeah.
Awesome. That's really cool. Let's talk about the different departments within production design, right? Because you've got, like you said, construction, and then can you guys what do you have inside?
So you've got the art director who kind of just directs everybody and tells them what to do within creating the set or the film.
So you get the set decorators, and they come in once all construction's done and all the painting's been done, and they decorate the set. So they're the people who bring in all the furniture, all the little things, they put on the doorknobs, that kind of thing. So they really bring life to the set. Yeah.
The prop master that's responsible for all the props that you need for the film and stuff.
You also get the construction department, and they kind of take care of everything that needs to be built. So you can be like, this is the big set we're building. Oh, this is the table I need in this section. So anything that needs to be built from scratch, you take it to construction.
Oliver spoke about working on the music video he's going to work on, and we were speaking previously about different sizes of productions. What are different things to consider at different budget sizes? Like obviously, Lauren, you said on like sort of bigger things, there's like a lot more hierarchy involved, and your job becomes something that you have to sort of figure out how to do in terms of where you are in that hierarchy, versus doing something, at after where you were the production designer was every single one of those things. What changes at different budget levels? Like what do you consider for like the music video that you're working on, Oliver, versus doing like a short film or TV show or something like that?
The music video that I'm actually doing is also like the budget is quite tight. We are giving like $800, and then here $800 in Congo. It's really not that much actually, because we also use dollars. Yeah. So I'm doing specific scenes for this EP. So I'm also doing a photo shoot for the cover, so which is important. I'm dividing everything, like what's most important. Like we had to have like a design board. So I work with the design board to see I put all my ideas together, and I present it first to them. And so I give them one of the design boards, and I show them specific scene, because I needed, because it's like production, you were thinking about like the location, traveling to the location, because I'm doing everything, even the outfit, the color, like everything so I had to explain to them where all the specific funds are going. And I also needed help with a bit of transport. So I had to be specific that we need transport to get to this location. We need it's very important if we want to get there on time. And I also press on time. which is so important on this side because we live in a country where you can be in traffic for 2 hours of traffic on this side, 2 hours of traffic. So you have to basically leave 3 hours earlier. So I'm very specific with them and planning, and it's a short, like just trying to make it work. It's really trying to make it work. And you also want to present something very personal to me because it's like one of the first opportunities that I actually got here. So you want to put your best foot. You don't want to like, just because it's like, I'm trying to make it work with all the, like the budget that I have, but just not something simple, something great out of it. So that's what I'm working on this side. So I hope you guys understood that.
Yeah, that's cool.
No, yeah, definitely.
Raquel, what was your experience working on public engagement with us? Because I mean, that was a very small budget thing. It was a very sort of I think we only had like a month to prepare the whole thing as well. What was your experience like working on that?
I think it was a great experience because at the end of the day, working with you as the director who shared your ideas, because usually I've had so many experiences where I try to understand what does the director want from the production design, and it's literally just clueless. They've created this whole film, but they have no clue as to what they want. So I think with you, at the end of the day, it was so nice because now I'm bringing you my designs, I'm hearing your feedback, and then I'm adjusting it here and there. And then obviously, just because of the budget, at the end of the day, I kind of like having a small budget because I find that it really pushes my creativity. Because at the end of the day, I have to like make things out of nothing. I'm going and finding random blocks of styrofoam in the trash, and like I'm just coming like it. At the end of the day, it's great, and I understand that working on different size films, you're gonna have different roles. You're gonna focus on one thing, but if it's a smaller budget, you're gonna focus on everything. And I like being involved in everything. And even though it can be a bit of a challenge and stressful, it's lovely because at the end of the day, when you create the film, once it's shot and even once you set it up, you actually like stand back and be surprised and shocked by yourself, because that's what I found when I did public engagement. Like it all looked one way in my garage, but when I put it there at the location on the day, it looked completely different. And I was like, okay, wow, geez, I didn't think it would look this good. So yeah, I think depending on the budget and on the group, you can have different experiences. Some more challenging, some your roles are a bit smaller. But yeah, I had a good time.
Awesome.
Wholesome.
Lauren said something about where she's working on bigger set now. And then for me, production design, when I used to even work with Lauren, recall on sets or building sets together, it was really fun. Because sometimes being a production design was a bit hectic, but working together was fun. I almost felt it felt like bees working together just to bring an idea together. That's the beauty of production design. When you have all these bees trying to make this dream or this visual come through. That's like the experience that she's had, where she has a production design that is responsible for the budget of the budget of the production design. That's already cool because that's something that you don't. It's part of that. Just try to make that honey. That's how I see production design, and the fact that she's experiencing it is really exciting.
That's cool. Yeah, it really goes into one of the questions I had was about production design myths, like any misconceptions, and I was hoping that someone would actually bring up what I was hoping from that question was that someone would bring up, how much work goes into making something look effortless, which is like the beauty of production design. Like I know that when I've seen some sort of behind the scenes stuff of a film or something, and then I watch that same film with a friend who maybe isn't necessarily a filmmaker, and then I say to them, oh, that whole thing was built from scratch. That's a whole set. And they're like, what? So yeah, that's crazy. So many people working together, so much hard work and talent to make something just feel completely like it's meant to be there. It's a beautiful thing. That's sweet honey.
Yeah, definitely that's with honey. And not going like sometimes I think we all had as individual had to work on our own things when we were after, especially for our films. But when we had those group projects together, it's fun to go into an environment where you could see Lauren, you could see Ricard, and then Lauren would paint something there, Ricard would like it's creating that world together. That's the fun part of it also. Yeah. Production design.
And I think there's also a really great sense of collaboration with other artists in who everybody, like when your team just cares about the set and they're just like, we don't care how it's filmed. We don't care what they put the actors in. We just care about what the set looks like. And there's kind of like this really nice sense when you get those people all together. And it's really nice listening to those stories as well. Like, when you watch behind the scenes and they're talking to the production designer and they talk about their massive team and you're just like, oh, that's so sweet. They're like level their people that they've got. And I know one of the art directors that I met, Gary Tompkin, he was talking about when he worked on Harry Potter. Sorry, I feel like I'm name dropping, but I'm really not. And because I just went to a talk that he was at. But anyway, and he was talking about working for Stuart Craig. And he was one of the art directors. And he was like, no, Stuart was really great. And he had so many different art directors. And Gary was just like, oh, the only thing I worked on was like Hogwarts Castle. But, there were other art directors who concentrated on the different things. And he was like, so I was nothing on them. And I was like, you designed the castle, dude. Like, come on. What are you talking about? But they were all just saying, oh, but I wouldn't have been able to do it with this guy. And, if this guy wasn't a part of it, then who knows what it would have looked like. So it's really like this really nice sense of community between them all. And and you see that when you look at the different art department and production design guilds across the world, that they're also really nice and supportive of one another. I'm sure the other departments are as well, but it's obviously the production designers I care about. So it is all the little bees making honey together.
Oh, awesome. Do you guys think that it's important to go to film school to be a production designer? Can you imagine a world where you didn't go to film school and you're still a production designer?
I don't know, it's a bit strange to answer that question because all three of us have been to school, so it's a bit hard to imagine not going. But I actually did recently talk to someone who did drop out of film school, who did study production design, but I think maybe dropped out in the first year. So, and she's doing well for herself as a production designer. So I kind of think, also at the end of the day, I think if you've got the skill for it, if you've got the work ethic, the imagination, and the creativity, I don't necessarily think that going to or not going to film school is going to prevent you from still being a good production designer or doing production design. Because at the end of the day, I think it can be said about any part in a film, whether you are an actor or a cinematographer. I think if you've got the knack for it, if you've got the necessary skill set, then you're fine. You can achieve what you want to do. So I don't necessarily think that you have to study that specific thing.
So I suppose going off of that question is, you're saying that it is achievable to go into production design without having gone to film school. Did that person maybe tell you how they made their way, like what their career path was up to that point?
I think it's the same as it would be for pretty much anybody starting off in the film industry. You start at the very bottom and you really have to work your way up. So I also think it's an element of luck and opportunity as well. So at the end of the day, she got the opportunity to work on a set with someone, and then just from there network. So I also think, as anyone in the industry, it's important to network, because that's the only way you can grow as anyone in your specific field.
Given the opportunity, you take it and you run with it. That's
You run.
How do you get that first opportunity? Even going to film school, how do you get onto a set for the first time? That's not a film school set, like a real thing. How do you do that?
I think it's just looking for opportunities, talking to the people you know. So, I mean, if you do go to film school, you'll always know someone who's doing something or working on some set. So it's just important to don't burn all your bridges while you're at film school, is one thing, I suppose. And, just keep in contact with the people that you worked well with, because there's always an opportunity, and, you don't know who's going to think of you and be like, hey, do you want to hop on the set with me? Because you never know when that's going to happen. So it's important to keep in contact with the people that, are also trying to work on their own things. I do think it's quite difficult though, because it's not like there's just hey, here's a job ad, here, come be a runner. And then you're just yeah, that's me, let's go. So, and it's definitely finding the opportunities. I know in the UK, there's a lot of internships and there's a lot of training and a lot of apprenticeships and that kind of thing. So it's quite easy to jump onto one of those. But obviously there's so many other people that you're competing against at the same time. So it's quite difficult to get in. I definitely think it's just getting your foot in the door. So if someone hires you and you have to make coffee for a month, just do it. Because I know it's not fun. And I know you went to film school and you're just I don't want to make coffee. I'm more experienced than that. And I mean, fair, sure you are. But then while you're making that coffee, make sure that people notice that and just talk to everybody, So it's just about taking every opportunity that comes your way. But obviously just don't constantly work for free. I mean, I feel like I fell into that trap while I was still an SA. I'd done so many projects for free. And by the time I turned around, I was oh, wait, no, I need to be paid. I need, have rent and other things to do. And they were just oh, well, then PD's not really that important. We'll be fine without you. And then you kind of just oh, well,
wow.
Anyway, so yeah. Then I moved. I was never mind. But that was my own fault, I think. I shouldn't have done it for so long. And at first it was about experience, but then it gets to the point where you're just oh, come on, guys.
Yeah. I've got the experience now. Now pay me for that experience.
Yeah, but I think that's also the problem in South Africa that I find specifically with production designers, is that a lot of people don't necessarily want to pay for production design. So they'd rather just not hire a production designer, or unfortunately, Lauren got caught into it being just someone to supply the work and do the work for nothing. So that is also the problem in South Africa that we face. So luckily she got on the plane and went somewhere that she was more appreciated. So I think that's a good thing. And like she says, just get your way, put your foot in the door and really just hustle your way up, because especially in South Africa, it's still growing. It's a growing industry, so it's very tough to really just get in there.
Yeah, the job I see most common in this country is prop assistant, and that's always an entry level. They take kids that are well, not kids, but people that have just left high school, and that's how people who don't go to film school in this country, because it's mad expensive, get into the film industry. So they start at entry level positions, and they're always runner or assistant for this guy or that thing. So, and prop assistant is one of the lowest you can get, but it's really rewarding because you actually get on set, and that's you're on set, you're actually working with the props. I mean, you might not be taking it to the actor, but you might be in the background fixing them, making sure they're all in order, that kind of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, and then you work your way up like any job.
Yeah.
Where can people look for these kinds of opportunities? Like Facebook, or is there an app or an ad, or is there a newspaper that you open and then it's oh, here's all the production design jobs? Where can people look for these kinds of jobs?
Well, I think number one, if you went to film school, I think it's good to really just start there networking, because if you know someone, they know someone else who maybe has a better opportunity for you. So I think start off networking, but also just research. Like I've researched and I found a lot of apps, especially for focusing more on like freelancers. And I think at the end of the day, that in the film industry, that's where it's best to start. Start off as a freelancer, just because you have more leeway and more opportunity to look at a lot of different projects. And so look for apps. Trust me, there's like a lot out there. And maybe just Google as well. Just research films or production companies as well. So it's just about looking in the right places and the right things.
Especially even with production designers, maybe there's gonna be some project where like if I'm not in the country or something, and like I know that there's somebody in the country, I would go to a fellow production designer and pass it on to them. So it's also like definitely networking and knowing fellow production designers, and because it's just sharing it with them also.
Can you guys tell us who's your production design hero? This was one of Mark's questions. I'm stealing it, but who's the production design hero, or what was a film or a series of films or whatever that really inspired you to become a production designer? And what was it that made you think, I want to be a production designer?
For me, I don't think it was like, I always loved art. Like even in art school, I always loved art, and I knew when I was like when I leave high school, I wanted to do something in art. And when I got to after, I still didn't know. Like we get all those subjects and stuff, and you have to pick. And I found production design just happened along the way, and I was asked to like create a set, and I just love like it just flowed with me. It was art. I was able to create, and I'm a very practical person, so it was definitely that. And as far as action designers that I don't think she's a production designer, a stage designer. I don't remember, like the name is it's very French. I forgot, but I'll try to. But yeah, the fact that she's not limiting herself just like production design. She's doing stage, she's doing fashion shows, and we are able to do so many things. Production design is so big, and we are able to create so many things. So I think that I'm very open. Music videos, commercials, I'm like the broad, all of it. Yeah.
Okay, I'm quite funny when I talk about my production design heroes because I have like 4 main ones. So it's anyway, and they're all like important for different reasons, I think. But anyway, so I think the very first one was definitely Stuart Craig, and he is most famous for Harry Potter, obviously, but that's just because I'm like major Potter nerd anyway.
You even worked on the Harry Potter lot.
I know. So I worked at the Warner Brothers studio tour for a couple months, and it's quite funny because all you do is talk about Harry Potter all day. And I was like, is there even a better job? We've got to do this forever. So that was quite fun. And it was really nice because when you're like learning everything that you need to know, it was just so much knowledge that we had to like cram into our brains in such a short time. And it was really, really cool. And then when you're actually going through the tour, like they're just using the real sets in the actual studio that they had used. And so like when you first get hired, they like do this massive like ceremony, and it's all cute, and you're sitting, they have like a little cinema thing where they have like the 3 main actors talk to you, or like the people that are there. And then so they did that for us, and then they opened the doors, and behind the doors is the Great Hall, and it's like the actual Great Hall that had been there since like 1999 when they first started filming the first one. And you're just like, and it's really, really cool when they do like the whole open the doors thing, and then you see the set, and then after that you just walk through the rest of the sets. And yeah, anyway, so after that story, so I had learned a lot more about Stuart Craig then, and it was really interesting, especially like when he would like talk about working with the cinematography like department, and talk about working with the visual effects guys, and the whole team was just so integrated. And there was like, I think during the whole process, there was like 5,000 people that worked on all 8 movies. And I mean, it was just ridiculous amount of people, and you can just imagine how big his art department was. And I mean, what they pulled off was pretty great, I think, just because it looks so magical. And I mean, I'm a big fantasy fan as well, so just all of that was really nice. But then I'm also a really big fan of I never know how to say his surname. Adam Stockhauser. Hopefully he never sees this and tells me. And he's a production designer who works a lot with Wes Anderson. And so obviously he's really cool. And he's so funny though, because he's just like, so people always go up to him and they're just like, oh, your designs are so amazing. And he's like, oh, that's just Wes. He's the one who comes up with everything. I just make it happen. And then, so I'm just like, oh, you're so nice. And then you get like production designers like Sarah Greenwood. And I've always been a big fan of hers, but she usually only does like period pieces. And if she does fantasy, it's also like period. So like she did Beauty and the Beast and Cinderella and that kind of thing. And so it's technically still period, but like with like fantastical element to it. But she did like Atonement and Pride and Prejudice. And I just really enjoyed her work as well. And yeah, I think I'll stop there before I just carry on naming them all. But yeah, so if I had to choose a hero, it would be Stuart Craig.
Is that the reason that you became a production designer?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I knew I wanted to go into film. I knew it was always in the back of my head. And then like when I went to AFTA at first, I was just like, oh, I don't know. There's so many other departments I could choose from. Let me like choose something else. And I almost took writing and animation. I was so close to it.
I mean,
and
I'm sure you would have been great.
Hopefully. Like, you know, when you had to like choose your subjects for second year and you had to like write them down on that little page and then take it to like the registry. And I actually had like scribbled it out and then rewritten it like twice. And I was like, I need a new one because it's just scribbles. But yeah, I think I did try to take animation writing and production design, but production design and animation clash. So they were just like, you can't do this. And I was like, So, but yeah, I think in the end, it was the right choice for me. I think I would have cried if I had taken animation, especially like when I got to like 3D animation. I would have just been like, so.
No,
yeah.
I mean, I haven't mentioned it yet, but like I've also worked with Lauren on Mallemele, which was also just the best experience. I mean, that's my only production design experience. But before working with Raquel, that was my only one. But I was like, oh, this is so great. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that as well.
Well, I've been sitting here the whole time trying to think of the name of the girl that I really admire.
You can Google it quick.
I tried. I wasn't Googling the right words. But anyway, she's UK based, but obviously travels the whole world. And when I first came to AFTA, like I always knew I wanted to be in the film industry. But AFTA kind of just was like a mind blow for me. It was not what I would have expected going anywhere else. So it was pretty awesome that I got to try a lot of things, and production design just came my way, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. So I really just fell in love with production design, and this woman that I absolutely admire. She is a constant inspiration. She literally pushes design to another level that it's just mind blowing. And I sit here and think, like, how does she come up with these ideas? Because she designs sets for stage, for like music concerts or even theatrical performances and films, and she's even got her own art gallery going on with all her designs, and it's just insane, to be honest. And it's honestly an inspiration, and just it inspires you to get more creative, to really just push yourself as a designer, and really just keeps you motivated, especially for those tough days that I'm sure we've all experienced. Like, why am I here drilling and painting and cutting myself? And I don't know, it kind of just like pushes all that away, because once you see your work done, and it's inspiring, you end up inspiring yourself from the things that you've done.
The lady who did like the Beyonce or stages and stuff. We talk about Alice Devine, something, Raquel. Is it her? from UK.
So
I think you also follow her on Instagram.
Probably.
We both follow her on Instagram. That's the same one also I'm talking about. She's good. She's amazing. I sent her a message on Instagram asking her for a job like 3 times. She hasn't seen my Instagram messages, but hey, one day she'll read one of them and she'll call me.
You miss all the shots you don't take, dude.
I got to. I'm just waiting for that one day. She'll send me like flight tickets and I'll be out of
Yes.
Definitely.
I'll be in your How have you guys found working with production designers?
What have we found?
What is your experience?
We have found ultimate beauty. No, but I mean, from my side, I mean, I've only worked on 2 films, like I said, with a production designer, both with Lauren. Well, first one with Lauren, second one with Raquel. Yeah, so I worked with Lauren on Malamiela, and that was just the sort of, can I call it like a foundation forming experience for me? Because it was the first sort of like big production that I had directed myself, and it was also the longest shoot that I've been on so far, and there was so many things going into that I literally just had. I think Lauren got frustrated with me at some point because I really didn't know what I wanted on that film, but then I would like say something, or Lauren would bring me stuff, and I'd be like, yeah, that's the thing. And so I think Lauren really like helped me understand what production design is and how it works and stuff. And then with Raquel as well, like I was just like, we need to make this like proposal area look pretty, and we need to make it fit within the style of like an Amazing Race type parody. So I was like, I had vague ideas, but then just giving, for me, it's like giving the people who know better, letting them do their thing. That was really for me like a thing that I've learned from production design as well. I've got so much respect for production designers, and I just want to work with all of you guys on all of my movies, but I never have money, but that's going to change soon. And then you'll be there, you'll know.
Yeah, I think for me, you don't realize just how important production designers are until you have, as you're saying, you have like a dedicated one, like going from making like sort of no budget stuff, and then you aren't sort of really considering production design, and then as soon as there is that consideration, you're like, okay, I'm never making anything else without like a dedicated production design. Or even if you do another sort of no budget thing, you start thinking about what you've learned from production designers that you've worked with, and start considering those things. I mean, production designers, they design the production. Like, there's nothing more foundational than that. Like, if you don't have one, then you don't have a production. Pretty much.
Any last words for any aspiring production designers from each of you?
That's a good one.
And then we'll end there. Who wants to go first?
Okay, I'll go first.
Go for it.
Honestly,
Thank you, Franz.
Oh no! So we just lost Oliver, which is so sad. He was saying that his power was a bit all over the place, so I guess it cut out now, unfortunately. But to end us off, maybe Lauren and Raquel can just give us their just some words for aspiring production designers.
So mine would be have faith in your process, especially because the artistic and creative process that you go through as a designer is so important to like the final design, that no matter what you need, no matter how you do it, no matter how you work, you have to stick to it because it's what works for you, and you can't like produce your best design without it. So definitely have faith in yourself, have faith in your creative abilities. If you start doubting yourself, then everybody else will doubt you, and which is never a good look.
Which is the most important thing. Just look like you know what you're doing.
Exactly.
Well, I've definitely had those times where I feel like I'm going to lose my mind and I'm going to panic because I'm like, my design's just not going the way it is. but I do think it's important, just trust yourself, just relax, and just keep going. The process is never easy. It's really not. But just believe yourself, and just remember that design is a process. Even at the very end, you're going to still think that it could have been better. But I think from every creative person, they're never happy with their final projects. But I think at the end of the day, just keep believing in yourself, just keep researching and seeking inspiration, because by doing that, you better yourself. If you just sit there and try to come up with your own ideas, it's not going to work out 100% all the time. So just seek inspiration, seek advice, and when you get stuck, collaborate with other people. And that's what I loved working at Varsity with all the other production designers, because you bounce ideas off each other. And so I think just keep believing, just keep trying, just
hold on to that feeling.
Yeah, like get those creative juices flowing. Like, don't be afraid to really just, even if it's a wild idea, just it's a starting point, and I think that's important. So just keep going, keep fighting.
That's great. Okay, great. Well, thank you guys so much for coming through. That was awesome. So sorry about Oliver dropping out at the literal last second. But thank you guys so much. That was really inspiring, really great. I'm really happy you guys came on, and I think this is going to be really great. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much.
Okay, and that was it for this edition of Department Spotlight, focusing on production design. So thank you so much, Lauren, Oliver, and Raquel, for your awesome insights. So if you made it to the end of this video, you must be one of our super fans. Thank you so much. But if you made it and you're not subscribed, what are you doing? What? It's a red button. Just press it. It's like right there. Press it. And then also remember to leave us a like and a comment, and just letting us know what you'd like to see from us in the future. So we release new videos every Tuesday and every Friday, with a new short film on the first Friday of every month. So until next time, stay inside, make your movie.